Hello, everyone. Thank you for showing up despite so many events last night and so many events going on even right now as we speak. So we have a very interesting panel of speakers here. And I will start with a quick round of introductions, starting with myself. My name is Nishant Sharma. I run a public relations consulting firm that focuses on the Bitcoin mining industry. We work with various publicly traded mining companies. We also produce research and news on the mining industry, operating the trade publication of the industry called theminermag.com. You can go there to find free research, news, data on publicly traded mining companies.
Hello, my name is Christopher Kroll, and I work at Canaan Inc. I'm head of business development and sales, and I work directly under Ning, who is a co-founder, head of all things technical, and head of Canaan US, and also our CEO, NG, who invented the ASIC Bitcoin miner. I think this is one of the most important topics of this entire Bitcoin 2025, so I'm very excited to talk about the hardware arms race. Yeah.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Wright from What's Miner. Actually, What's Miner is maybe currently is a famous brand. But when I joined MicroBT, I think What's Miner just is a question. So if you have any questions, please come to see us. Thank you.
Right. Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Right. Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Peng Li, but everyone just call me Leo. So I'm from BitDeer. I'm served as the US sales director. And from the very beginning, I joined BitDeer. And BitDeer is a technology company that we provide the comprehensive solutions for hardware, construction, mining farms. And also we do a lot for the hosting as well. Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. So we will jump right in. The topic is the hardware arms race in Bitcoin mining. Now, there's a reason why it's called the hardware arms race, because Bitcoin mining by design is such that the more you mine, the more difficult it becomes to mine more Bitcoin, and you need better machines. So this race hasn't stopped since Bitcoin started being mined. And maybe the panelists can talk more about why this topic came up.
Sure. So Bitcoin is a lot of things. It can be a currency, store of value. But first and foremost, it's a network. That's what gives Bitcoin value. The network is supported by mining. How do we mine? We mine with the hardware. That's what we're all producing. That's what we manufacture. If a part of the world starts to increase the hash rate and power of their machines, then other parts of the world could lose out. And when we learn about these Bitcoin mining machines, it's important that we realize that it is Bitcoin. There's a lot that goes into building it, to producing it, and what we hope is the parts of the world that are free, support Bitcoin, and need that security, focus on that part of the business, because that is how you will protect your Bitcoin going forward in the future. And I think that's why this topic is very important.
Yeah, I believe right now everyone just recognize the values as Bitcoins. So I think most of them, if you just believe Bitcoin would be the futures, you would just say that you want to have something safely to see how to just security the values. So I think, Bitcoin miners, and the mining activities would be good seminars for you to understand how to just evaluate the network and the security values. So this is some things I think currently all just agreed with most of the public investors and customers.
And so now we have various players in the industry that are trying to make better mining machines. And this hardware arms race is spread across not just different countries, but also different players who are trying to make better machines than each other, three of which are here on the panel today. One of the most exciting technologies that everyone's talking about these days, not just in Bitcoin mining, but even outside when it comes to chips, is the 2-nanometer process node. Maybe it'll be good for the panelists to inform the audience what a process node means in layman terms, and also when do we see a 2-nanometer chip in the Bitcoin mining world?
I'll start with that one. So in a semiconductor, you have an on-off switch, and they're getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And these on-off switches We have billions of them, and they tell the computer what to do. You can turn them on and off and run a computer program. The size of that on-off switch is getting so small that we're approaching 1 nanometer. And the smaller that on-off switch is in a semiconductor, the more powerful your chip would be, right? And these are very advanced techniques that are used to develop this technology, but they're also very fragile when they first come out. So there's a balancing act between, do we want the smallest node? Do we want it to be resistant to the environments that Bitcoin miners are put into? Do we want to lower our cost of capital? Do we want to spend money on the latest, greatest technology? So really, way we look at it is it's a balancing act for the Bitcoin mining community and trying to get something that works for those harsh environments that we are installing miners into.
Yeah, I believe, yeah, everyone just understand, why we just choose for the high power efficiencies right now. Yeah, actually, as you know, after we just see the Bitcoin released, yeah, we just understand how they just distribute the Bitcoins. But how every just Bitcoin guys help this industry become popular in the futures, we need to reduce the cost for the such kind of calculations. So for the hardware miners, yeah, the main choice, I think the only choice is how to reduce the power efficiency. So right now, the process is one of the maybe major or important factors to impact the power efficiencies right now. And every manufacturer is just try to adopt the advanced technology node right now. And besides the technical node, yeah, also I think everyone, if you just study about the history, Dr. Yang always bring full customer design methodologies to this industry and help anyone know that besides the technical node, we also can have some methodologies to improve a lot. Even at this current moment, the more roles, just maybe lost the development is what they start. But yeah, after we just adopt such kind of advanced methodology, we still have a chance to just change the games a lot. So right now, I think everything would be not only the technical node, but methodology and the design also is the key point for the optimizations. So we should say that, yeah, the whole and the part is in separately. So we need to treat all of them just as a whole.
All right, yeah, I do agree with Wright, actually. I mean, Bitdeer has been investing in our R&D team for a long-term trade. And we do Bitdeer just started like 1.5 years ago for the CL miner. And now we are catching the first CAD as our CL miner A2. And actually, we are going to release the A3 and try to catch up the sub 10. I believe everyone is asking for that. And actually, what we are seeing is Bitcoin mining is not just is a commodity for not just for the Bitcoin mining efficiency, but the operational efficiency is also very important. We've seen the uptime is also very crucial for the Bitcoin mining.
Wright touched on a very important aspect that is often underlooked. Wright mentioned how there are various methodologies outside just the process node that can improve the efficiency of the mining machine. And maybe we want to talk to the panelists about what these methodologies are outside the process node that make a chip more efficient than another.
Yeah. Yes. Do you want to just?
Speaking of power efficiency, we're working towards the sub 10 world eventually, but it's going to take a co-optimization of the entire ecosystem. How many of you have been in an actual industrial style Bitcoin mine before? Okay, that's a lot. Okay, I want all of y'all's phone numbers. I'm in business development, okay? But if you've been in these sites, they're very rough. They're very hot. You have these, just walk down a hot aisle and you'll see how tough these environments are. So we have to work on better cooling methods, better infrastructure, sciences on how we do negative and positive air pressure. And this can optimize what the actual chip can do. Because when we produce a miner from the factory, we're optimizing what it can do as well. We can downclock it and send it to you. But when it gets into the environment, it could break down. You have bad uptime. It could ruin your whole operation. So there's a balance between what we do and what we get to you and what the actual technologies of the data centers are out there. We're getting there lower and lower, but we have to have a bit of realization to what we can do and to keep those uptime so we can protect the Bitcoin mining here on this side of the world, right?
Yeah, I think this is quite technical questions. Actually, as you know, yeah, if you just try to design chips, yeah, the most common way is you just use the commercial tools. So it means if you just adopt such kind of methodologies, yeah, you would get the similar performance as what your competitors has. But if you just have the challenge or if you have such kind of courage to just give up the tools and development your own methodologies, it means you need to understand the fundamental logic, yeah, from the such kind of physical and such kind of transistors deeper. So this means, yeah, if you want to do better, I would like to just introduce a little bit about how methodology works. But yeah, I think right now, yeah, not only just the miners, but for the whole facilities, we need to just maybe just balance or check from all perspectives, like the just faster adopter, yeah, expansions and power density and everything, yeah, maybe in together. So everything, if you put everything together, it means you cannot find just a traditional way or just automatic ways to do that. You need to do the full custom ways or customized ways on such kind of special case. So I think the theory and the methodology should be the same. I think next time, if I have time, I could just explain a little bit a lot for how to just do customized, yeah, on your maybe specific case.
So anyone has a chip design problem, you know who to contact.
Yeah. And actually, I mean, in Bittier, we're trying to catch up the sub 10, So we have already released like CO Miner A1 and A2, and we're expecting the 5 drop terahash to be released in next 10 months. So which will be like Q1 of next year. But as I just mentioned, Bitcoin mining is commodity, not just for the Bitcoin miner efficiency, but the operational efficiency. And the uptime is also very important. It's the air cooling, the hydro cooling, or the immersion cooling. And that will be the most focus that we should be concentrating on.
So Leo touched on a very good point, which is the cooling or the ways in which you can make your operation more efficient outside of the mining machine, which primarily, as Leo pointed out, is cooling. So maybe we want to let the audience know first the different cooling solutions that exist, the most popular ones, and which are the ones dominating the industry right now, and which ones do you see becoming increasingly popular and the dominating ones in the future?
Bitcoin miners can be cooled a few different ways with air, water, or oil. It's kind of like a 3 elements kind of methodology. Air cooling is the most popular, and in my belief, at least 2, 3, 4 cycles from now, it'll still be the most popular. Why? Air is abundant, it's all around us, and it's very cost-effective to install into your data center. The name of the game in Bitcoin mining is keeping the revenues above your expenses. So it's a quick way to develop a site. Now for hydro cooling and oil cooling, which we call immersion, I think it's going to be a pretty good balance going forward of these 2 cooling methodologies. Why? They kind of complement each other depending on regions. Hydro is great for areas where you have clean water, access to clean water, and maybe access to good labor, because these machines can be complicated and you need them maintenance, so you need a nice workforce. Immersion, using oils to cool your miners. You can set it into...
You mean like olive oil, avocado oil, or what do you mean?
So we're using dielectric fluids. They're engineered fluids that don't conduct electricity. So you can set the miner into this dielectric fluid, this oil essentially, and the oil can cool the machine. It's very convenient. So you can set into a rural area. It's kind of hands off, low maintenance, and it runs by itself. Now with immersion, there's also something called, you bring up the olive oil. We have two-phase immersion, which uses actually a coolant. It's a very high-tech type of coolant that uses to cool the machine. I think this is up-and-coming technology. We can look at it for next cycle. We can watch out for it. But I hope I gave you a great breakdown of how we cool Bitcoin miners and how it can get a little tricky.
Yeah, I think air cooling is quite simple from the technical side. How we can just find maybe best cooling solutions for your specific case? Maybe our company just try think about that. Actually, as you know, due to the ESG and due to some other reasons, for example, how to just get the highest power densities, we need to just think about a good heating release cooling systems. How we can just maybe run wells under such kind of challenge situations. So right now we think that if we just put everything together, for example, if you want to evaluate PUE, WUE, you would have the different answers. Right now, if you just maybe start from evaluation on PUE or WUE, some good examples technology could come from data centers like the immersion and hundreds. For the immersion and hundreds, it's also just quite complex than air coolings. And of course, MicroBT always just try to maybe work with different solution partners. We know, maybe practice makes perfect. So if you have such kind of expertise on the specific territories, you would just release the good solutions. So MicroBT always just try to establish the ecosystems and work with different solution providers, and all these kind of combinations would help the customers to get the best solutions for your specific case. So right now, whatever you are, if you are solution providers, we also just welcome to just discuss with us how to provide the best solutions under the different conditions. But if you are investors or if you are miners, it's good. You also have a flexible, just a choice to maybe find different partners work together on your case. So right now, we don't say that, maybe which one would be the futures. We just chase for why we need to just move ahead and what's the reasons, how to just evaluate the optimizations right now.
Yeah, one thing I would like to add is it's not just air, hydro, or liquid, but someone also discussing single phase, two phases, three phases. And also there are multiple features that we need to think about is the water excess. And also, but Bittier is kind of like very, very distinguished on the water cooling. We're kind of like bullish on that. Now we have about 1 gigawatt and we are converting all of them into hydro. We have compared for a long time for the immersion, but when then we found that the operation for the immersion is kind of like difficult. How to deploy, how to have the immersion, the advantages from the theoretical reality to the real world is kind of like difficult.
So coming back to the point that you made, Leo, about how there are many optimizations that can improve the efficiency of an operation, which are outside the mining machine. Primarily, like we discussed, it's cooling solutions. But there are also companies that employ different firmwares to make the operation more efficient. Being a manufacturer, what do you guys think about firmware solutions that improve the efficiency? Like, I imagine, if someone uses a third-party firmware on the machines they purchase from you guys, you would want to void their warranty because you don't trust these firmwares. So there are various issues there. Maybe the audience would be interested in learning about these various factors that they themselves or a mining company should consider when they are considering employing a third-party firmware?
Canaan, we're shipping Avalons at scale, large orders, all equipped with our in-software firmware where you can change the frequencies, the voltages to kind of optimize where you want the power to be. We're calling it power modes. We believe that having it on the system is more convenient for the user. We've had large-scale customers that have been through our press releases that have expressed a lot of satisfaction with these systems and the software. They believe it's very convenient. And I think that's a testament to what we're doing to customize the options to different clients to where they are. Because if you have a power need in one spot, you can downclock, you can overclock, you can figure that out on your own business model. And I think that's a simple answer to it. We're trying to customize it on the actual system so you don't have to rely on third-party firmwares, jailbreak your machine, and risk having it burn up or having an issue that'll either void the warranty or destroy the machine. And that's really what we're trying to focus on avoiding so that it's a simple experience for the actual miner.
Yeah, I totally agree with Christopher that yes, maybe the domain functions for the manufacturer's firmware is just for you to just run the normal operations. The scenario should be the diversities. So you may have such kind of different requirement, how to just maybe meet your requirement from your side. Right now, I think default, our firmware has different, just operation models. Like if you just choose for the high performance, or if you just maybe have such kind of capacity issues and you can use the maybe low power mode. But of course, it's just maybe the default modes try to help you understand that we can just support more functions. So right now, we also have such kind of API, which one can help you to just maybe develop your own functions. For example, most of our customers just try to work with the third part and just maybe development such kind of side functions. Right now you can easy to download our maybe such kind of API specs from our official website and try start from worked with our engineer to just maybe create your own frameworks and get the functions ready for your specific case.
I believe like none of us want to make firmware to be like open source, while firmware is kind of not that competitive advantage for the clients to making decisions when they're buying machines. What we do, like Canon and WhatsMiner, they have explained their strategy. Well, what we do is the same thing, a very similar thing is we're trying to add more function to the firmware. So, I mean, the first option is the clients, they want to overclock down, like low clock. Well, I mean, and also this is kind of like interesting, I would say. There are other functions like not just from 10 terahash, 10% like from the percentage side, but also like from 1 terahash, 2 terahash. That might be the tiny stuff, but will be the very interesting things for the clients.
Did you mention that Bitdeer supports open source firmware?
No, we're not. We are not supporting ourselves.
Okay. Oh yeah. Just to clarify. So we have limited time left. So I would like to get your take, each one of the panelists' take, on what you think mining machines will look like 5 years down the line or 10 years down the line. Will they continue to have the same form factor, like the shoebox design that we see today? Or do you see them, becoming chips that customers buy and plug into their modular mining units on the data center? What do you think they will look like in the future? And also, why do you think that? Like, what are things happening today that support that kind of scenario?
Bitcoin's great. It follows the waves and the trends. When it first started, it was either a laptop or a computer in Satoshi Nakamoto's office or bunker or wherever he was. Then we went into GPUs, FPGA, and then there was the ASIC chip technology. We used that. Our CEO put the first miner to market. Now we're seeing the wave of AI. So I believe we'll get into mining machines that are more modular. They can be put into servers, maybe alongside of AI infrastructure and used to balance power loads. It's something that we're very excited about. My leader, Ning Zhang, he always says a Bitcoin miner is like a battery. And it essentially is. It's using that power that's available. So we believe we're in something called the hash wars. I would love for you to write that down, HASH wars. And what is going to happen is this side of the world or that side of the world is going to increase Bitcoin mining. And if we're not catching up and looking at it in an important way, we're going to lose that power over Bitcoin in the future. And the risk is if we don't support that, and we just give up, it's game theory. If we don't do it, they will. If we do. So because Bitcoin is going to be important, we have to support Bitcoin mining, whatever form it takes going forward.
Yeah, actually I agree. Due to the context issue, we like to save the context for our customers. So it means maybe if the things does not change, 5 years is quite longer. The technology could just maybe changed a lot and develop so quickly. I cannot just make 100% to say if we can just keep the form factor the same. But for MicroBT, without the maybe strong reasons, we would like to just make a commitment to keep the form factor the same. It will help you just reuse the same rack and the same facilities in the futures.
That's great. Customers would love to hear that. I'm sure whoever is in the audience would be stoked to hear that coming from the manufacturers, because that's a common woes that they have.
Yeah, rack mount is getting more and more popular. That's, Bitcoin is not just a hardware making money, but we do mining a lot. We're thinking something could be modularized, not just for the Bitcoin mining, but AI convertible. That will be very, very important.
All right. Put your hands together for the panelists. Thanks, everyone.